Hi, Kiko.
Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Hey, Kara, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Congratulations on the film. I saw it a couple of nights ago, and I have to say it was just a visually stunning piece. I loved every shot that you took,
Thank
especially the one with the negative, the helmets hitting in the negative space,
Oh
and
yeah.
then you see the skeletons inside the helmets. That was so good.
Yeah. We did that with this camera called the Fleur camera, which is a thermal, it's like this military grade thermal camera. And so we rigged that camera right on top of our regular camera, the Alexa 35. And so because like the Fleur kind of like renders like humans in this really crazy, beautiful, haunting way. And then on top of that, like VFX was able to like, augment that a little bit, put in some brains and things like that. So yeah, I'm really proud of how that all of those different sequences that we used with that were.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the film blends horror with the sports film, right? They're two
Yeah.
visually different worlds, in my opinion. How did you approach balancing those different styles with your cinematography?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, our me and then our director Justin Tipping, we really wanted to play with, the idea of both of those different genres and
Hmm.
making sure that the audience was able to, follow, but like where we were in the story with those. So in the beginning, we play it's much more, playful. There's more fluid camera movement. There's handheld. There's like the lighting is more neutral. But once we start getting down into the depths of the compound or Cam's mental state, like we start going with definitely much more of a rigid camera work or more of like a symmetrical composition, more fixed. And I think that that's something that's like to kind of make him feel like, he's literally trapped in this world. And we also started playing with a lot more colors and a lot more like different contrasting colors to kind of,
Hmm.
put the both him and the audience on edge a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. We talked a little bit about the that one scene that I really loved. What was the most technically challenging scene or sequence to shoot, and how did you solve that?
I think that anything with the Fleur camera was probably our
Mm-hmm.
most technically challenging, only because those cameras aren't built for cinematography. They're not built for like a regular film camera. So we had to do a lot to augment them, like put a follow focus on it, like all this stuff to be able to work with those. Like each time you see the Fleur, it's like two different focus pullers, one for each camera. We had to do a lot of testing to see exactly how far away we had the subject had to be from the camera to make sure both images converged. Yeah, and then the lighting ends up being a little different in those because, you know, the camera responds to heat. And so if it was like too early in the morning, then the background would be really dark because it was cold. If we shot it in the afternoon, the background would be too bright because it was really hot out. So we had to
Mm-hmm.
really kind of play with like it's like a whole different way of like situating your brain when you're working with that. That was really challenging. And then oh, we also like, we had a lot of fun with like, during the some of the football montages. We have the camera kind of like rushing toward the nets as the footballs are being caught and everything. So we built this rig that we ended up calling like the boomerang rig, which was like
Mm-hmm.
this huge truss system that we mounted we underslung the camera to, so it would just like a system of winches basically that we would fly the camera like through the air. It's like almost like at 30 or 40 miles an hour toward the targets. And so that was also like a big build that we ended up making. And yeah, there was a lot of, I mean, I'm really excited about this film because a lot of the stuff that we visually put on screen, but we had to do in each one like a lot of technology to be able to make it work, whether it was light,
Yeah.
whether it was like different camera mounts and things like that.
You never tried to mount a camera on the actual football and then throw it a spiral?
We didn't do that one. We mounted the ones to Cam himself.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
How do you instill fear into an audience that's watching this in the theater? Like, what kind of color palettes do you use? What kind of visual
Yeah.
things do you use?
I think that for as far as the colors, in the beginning in prep, I had like a full document about like for each scene what colors I wanted to be using and what
Mhm,
colors I wanted to mix. I think there's a lot of wonderful color theory out there about like what humans respond to. Like
mhm,
for example, let's say the scene where he's in the hyperbaric chamber and Marlon's character is right outside of that. Like we have this really like sickly, gorgeous, like green color that's mixed with this blue. And I feel like it's this really fun combination, but I think the two of them together kind of put you on edge a little bit. Um, and some colors are like feel more safe than others, or when they're combined, it's kind of a little bit jarring to the subconscious. So I play with that a little bit. Definitely played with a lot of shadows and,
mhm.
making sure that like keeping things out of frame or making it feel as if something could emerge from a shadow at any moment. So I think that's a fun way to kind of trick the audience,
Yeah.
or lead the audience. Yeah, I think there's like a lot of that, and then even just within the camera work, like we had a really wonderful camera operator, Scott Dropkin, that we were able to kind of push through things and lead the audience in a way that made them feel like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to go toward this anymore. But yeah, it was or like this is a scary spot or things like that.
You adapt your style like when you go onto the set for the first time or you're meeting the director for the first time, and
Yeah.
maybe you have to be on day one on the same page when it comes to the visual style that you want to use, or do y'all work together and is it like kind of a collaborative effort, especially for somebody like this where it seems like he knew exactly what he was looking for, right? This isn't a film to kind of play around with in terms, or it is a film to play around with in terms of the visual elements that it has.
Yeah, so with this film in particular, like there was a lot of, I don't think that like day one when we walked in, it was like we all created the visual language together. But Justin had his ideas, he had his references, and I don't think that we ever veered too far away from that. But between me and then the production designer Jordan Ferrer and the costume designer Dominique Dawson, we all of us were able to work with Justin to then start bringing our own references and start bringing our own color theories and all that stuff. And Justin is incredibly collaborative about like what he likes and what different things what elements we can bring to it. But he definitely had a very like specific idea of like where the visuals could go, like for the early football stuff, like he he referenced a lot of like these 90s Nike ads that were super stylized, and so that's kind of the direction we wanted to go for that. And yeah, it was really fun to work with him because he is pretty fearless in how like in his visual storytelling.
I didn't realize how scary football is when it's rolling on the ground. Like it has like
Uh,
this move. Never mind.
yeah,
There's a scene in the Changeling where a little boy I think throws the ball down
yeah,
the stairs. It kind of reminded me of that. Like there's something creepy about just a ball rolling by itself with nobody behind it.
it's true. Yeah,
Hey, Kara, thank you so much for taking the time and congratulations
thank
on the
you.
film. And we can't wait to let more people know about it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye, you too.